Boy, Nick from the original Nick Show, and again, I am joined as always by Benny and Andy. Again, I am Say hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hey, man.
We get more enthusiastic every episode. What are we talking about today, boys?
We're talking about
Well-
how I've always wanted to play the bassoon.
The bassoon. What
Yeah, dude.
what makes a bassoon is in what prominent miniseries?
Uh, the life of Benny, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. We're talking.
No.
We're talking about Over the Garden Wall this
No,
episode.
Life of Benny, that is a mini series.
It could be.
Many.
We could. Ooh,
Very many.
very many.
It's about Benny picked up the bassoon one time and said, "No, can't do this crap." Put it back down and walked away.
And of course,
More of a
and of course,
percussionist.
it was all a euphemism.
A
Oh
euphemism-
gosh.
A euphemism for what, Andy?
Well, you see,
Give us
the
some lore.
bassoon-
Give us some lore.
Euphemism
What does the bassoon
for-
represent, Andy?
Yes, tell us what the bassoon represents.
Well, the bassoon represents, in psychological terms, tends to represent the relationship with your dad.
With your what?
So, with your father.
Oh,
Well, because see, the bassoon plays low notes, just like how men speak in lower tones. Is that what you're getting at?
Exactly. Yes.
Oh my goodness. Oh wow.
the low tones of a man are represented by the bassoon, and the fingers pressing down upon the keys.
Oh, I don't think we need to explain any further. I think we got the idea now.
okay, okay, all right.
No, I'm just, I mean,
Oh my gosh.
And
So-
also the
Yeah, go ahead.
location of and the action of the mouth.
oh,
Of the what? The mouth. Gross. Okay. Segue. What do we segue from this?
the fact that we're talking about Over the Garden Wall.
Yes, a
Yeah.
kid's show
Ugh.
in
a
the
kid's show.
relationship of a
Gracious.
man and his bassoon.
Yep.
And a
also
frog
going
gets
over walls,
involved.
which Benny knows a lot about.
yeah.
Wait, what? Excuse me, what?
Yeah, dude. Build the wall, baby. That's all I gotta say about
Oh my
that. So that my
gosh.
people can cross
That's
it.
part. That's his first episode of his miniseries. He gets over the wall with his bassoon.
Me and
We
my
are creating
people.
the lore. We are creating lore. I need to write this
He
down.
uses it. He uses it to pole vault over the wall.
How did you get
Dude,
into this
my whole
country? I pole vaulted over the wall, Trump's mighty wall, with my bassoon.
Which is
I've-
also a double euphemism for my father and my penis.
Well, here's the thing. I voted for President Trump so he can build a wall that way so we can jump over it.
Oh my gosh, we need to get that. We need to get our cardio going.
It's a
Calisthenics.
self-fulfilling prophecy or something. No, I actually didn't vote for Trump. I'm not gonna
Oh.
lie on that.
And on that
What?
note,
And on that note, we just got political and demonetized.
no, we're not
Hey.
demonetized because Anchor.fm is
Oh,
sponsoring us.
plug them up.
technically.
Yeah, you gotta plug them up.
nice segue. Let's go.
Well, I mean, if you listen to it on Spotify, you literally hear the ad play right away. Hello, everyone. This is Nick from the Nick Show. If you like podcasts, then you should like Anchor.fm and start your own podcast, you sicko.
Third, I'm gonna start my own podcast called Bassoon Cast.
We should.
There you
Can we
go.
please start a mini series called Bassoon Cast, and we literally make up a story for you?
Only for our Patreon supporters.
Exactly.
That we,
Go
that
to
we don't have.
patreon.com/. We don't have a Patreon, so
Bassoon
Yeah.
Cast.
our,
There you
our
go.
audience of
And we
one
can-
person, which is me watching it right now.
And we can all voice different roles in Benny's life.
Yeah, Benny could play Benny. I could play
I could
Nick,
play
and
me.
you could play Andy.
No. Somebody has to be the bassoon. The bassoon talk.
Noah can be the bassoon.
Hey,
There you
well,
go.
no, because Noah has too much of a high pitched voice.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know anyone who has
Oh,
a low voice. around
hello,
here.
is that your audition for the bassoon role?
Maybe. I don't know anyone who has a low voice around
Can I be Benny's dad?
here. Benny's dad,
thought-
who is
I thought it was
also
the
the
bassoon.
bassoon.
Oh wow, that's
padre.
What?
I didn't vote for Trump, but guess who did?
Oh my
Think
god.
about racism.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
All right, well for real. So over the garden wall,
So,
we make gardens and jump over walls. That's what's it about.
oh my gosh.
Hey. Yeah, the story of the Mexican.
Right.
All right.
Anyways, let me take a breath.
Over the Garden Wall.
Yes.
What can be said about Over the Garden Wall?
Over the Garden Wall takes place during my favorite time of the year, which is Halloween and then the week after. That's always my favorite.
Why is that always your favorite?
'Cause
I
it's
mean,
like,
Halloween makes sense, but the week after.
it's like a special time where it's not quite Thanksgiving and everything's settled down. You still got your candy from Halloween. You're still on that high. You had a great time at the party or whatever. Maybe there's some some after Halloween stuff, but everyone doesn't want to do all the Halloween stuff because it's November 2nd or whatever. So you go and have fun without being bothered by too many people. It's nice.
And it's also definitely fall at that point
It is definitely
in
fall.
pretty much any hemisphere.
Yeah, it went from
You
being
always get-
Unless you live in the southern hemisphere, then
the
it's
southern
spring.
hemisphere. Then it's
Yeah.
spring right now.
But where
But-
we
Shout out to our
live,
Brazilian fans enjoying the
And our
spring.
Australian fans and New Zealand fans and
That's upside
Polynesian
down.
fans.
Australia's upside down. That's a little bit different than southern
They're
hemisphere.
in
It's
the
Dinosaur
no, but
Island,
They are in the southern hemisphere.
but they're Dinosaur Island. They're special. Australia.
So today was the day where in Mexican culture all the spirits went back to heaven. Did
Wait,
y'all
is
know
that-
really?
Yeah, today was the day where they so they come and chill on Dia de los Muertos, which is the 31st. That's when
Yeah.
they chill. And they chill the 31st, they chill the 1st, they chill the 2nd, and they get the hell out today.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They get evicted today.
Yeah, that's a very Mexican thing, getting evicted.
What's the name of that? Oh my gosh. What's the name of that thing that Mama Coco from Coco?
The
What's
altar.
the altar with all the family
So
members.
it,
What's that
it,
called
it
again?
has to do with our job is to entertain and spread culture. So since we're here, it's so like I don't believe in the per last episode. I don't believe in like the spirits actually came and hang out with you.
Yeah.
I see it more as like a something to remember. So the thing is that you put the deceased, you put their picture, and you put something that they really really liked, like a special object that they had or something they really cherished. Like when my grandfather on my mother's side passed away, we built him the altar. Before he passed away, there was just like this red plastic cup that he used to drink out of every day, and so we put that on the altar next to his picture.
I forget what that's called. What's it called again?
The altar?
Is it? I thought it had like a special name though.
No, altar.
Huh. Wait a minute.
Anyway, so back to what we're actually gonna talk about: walls
yeah,
and
yeah.
gardens.
Gardens and jumping over them. So it is out of order from what I have seen. Well, it's like you have your establishing they're lost in the woods. They would have been walking, and then it's not until like the next to last episode you find out how they got there.
Yeah.
I think it's the last episode.
The
right?
last
No,
episode.
I don't think it's the last episode.
I think it's the next to last episode.
Yeah, I think so.
And
But
it might
gonna
be
say
the
just-
last one.
yeah, the show does a very good job at telling you, keeping you on your toes. Not
Mhm.
only
That's
because of
true.
the way the
Yeah.
not only because of the way the story is structured, but also because the characters are very zany. But they set it up in such a way where it's like, well, this is silly, but then you watch the last episode, you're like, oh, that
Yeah,
all
it's
makes sense.
it's so random every episode. You come in, you're like, whoa, what the heck is? They're in a school and they're singing about potatoes and
Oh
stuff.
yeah, potatoes and
all the
mashed
schools with all these animals are being taught in this school by this human teacher or something. And there's a gorilla there. What's going
Yes,
on?
Oh, Hank Hill the gorilla. It's the voice. It's the voice actor. It's the same voice actor.
It's Hank Hill.
Yeah.
Oh
He's like-
wow.
If you hear, he's like, I got stuck in that dang gorilla suit. It's the same guy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And Elijah Wood is the main character there.
Yep.
Yeah, I
Elijah
knew that
Wood
one,
is
yeah.
Wart.
And then what's his name is?
Christopher Lloyd is the huntsman's.
Yep.
Who's Christopher Lloyd? Oh, the guy from
Back to the Future.
yeah.
That's
Back
right.
Well-
to the Future is his most famous, but he's been in a lot of.
Great Scott.
Well, what's his name? What's his name plays the old dude, the quote unquote uncle um
Oh,
Oh
Uncle
my God,
Endicott. Yeah.
what's his name? The English guy.
Um,
The guy from Monty Python, right? Is it Monty
John
Python?
Cleese?
John Cleese.
uh, Uncle Endicott. Quincy
Yeah.
Endicott. He was cool. So we should probably start off by like explaining who all these people are.
That
So
makes sense.
that's true. So in the first episode, it's two brothers. They're walking through the woods. And that's it. I mean, that's how it starts off.
Yeah,
They're
that's
just
just
walking
what
through the woods.
they're trying to get back home.
And
Yeah, but you've got Wirt, who's the 15-year-old edgy crawling in my crawl teenager with he's always upset and sullen and oh, nothing matters, man. And then
Mhm.
you've got his brother. What's the name of his brother?
Greg.
I don't remember the
Yes,
name.
Greg.
Greg.
Let me look this.
Greg and Wirt.
Yeah. And he's just a happy-go-lucky 5-year-old who gets into trouble, and he just wants everybody to get along and be happy, and he's optimistic about everything, and they're in two different stages of life. But the interesting thing is, Wirt's responsible for Greg, even though he doesn't really want to be,
Yeah.
and so he has to kind of stick around and take care of him because they're in this weird situation, and Greg keeps running off and getting into trouble, and
Well, that's because they're stepbrothers, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they're like
Yeah.
stepbrothers or half brothers, something like that.
Which is I think it's interesting because I mean the whole series is juxtaposing because the series does a beautiful job at having dark and light elements. Like there's some moments where it's very heavy and there's some moments where it's very light, like the
Yeah.
animal episode.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And Mort, no, what's his name? Wart.
Wirt.
Wirt, yeah.
Wart and Greg, like in and of themselves, they're juxtaposed all the time. Uh, and it almost seems like the creators are like the theme is that they're trying to get us to kind of not let go of a sense of our childhood because uh Mort, which one's the oldest one? Greg or
Wirt.
so Greg? It's a childish one, and he's always go with the flow, and he's a stereotypical kid, and things tend to go his way a lot of the times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's I feel like that's something maybe the creators are trying to tell us that um it's okay to have that sense of childhood wonder
Yeah.
um in the midst of a seemingly dark situation.
Mm-hmm. He is always optimistic, no matter what the situation. Like as it goes on and things get darker and darker, he's still pretty darn optimistic and adorable the whole way through.
Yeah, and also notice how what he truly wanted uh throughout the whole series, what he wanted the most was just to spend time with his brother
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
to be with his brother.
He has
that
no
was
goal.
that was kind of his goal, and I think and it's interesting when you find out that they're half siblings or they're
Yeah.
step siblings. So
Yeah. He cares about his brother a lot. And he
He-
he like does things for his brother. Like he listens
does.
to Wirt, and he wants to make sure Wirt's taken care of.
Yeah,
You
it
know.
tries to get him involved in the hijinks so that he's not just standing there by himself.
Yeah. He's a good younger brother.
yeah.
So that's like their dynamic. And as they go, so in this first episode, they're just walking through the woods, shooting the crap like brothers do, and then they stumble upon a town, a really weird town. And that's whenever you start to get a feel for this show. It's for kids, but it's really for teenagers, because the first thing you see, other than the two characters, is a turkey. And he just gobbles, and then he just puts his head back down. It's really weird. But then they, step on the pumpkins, and then they stumble upon a festival with straw people with pumpkin heads, pumpkins on their head. And they're all doing like, normal carnival stuff, bobbing for apples and singing and dancing. Then they pose a question. They say, "Aren't you a little early to be joining the festivities?"
Yeah.
And what?
Yeah. No, that episode was weird with the pumpkins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like the first or second one.
Like the third, I
Because
think. I can't
on the
remember.
way they like meet Beatrice the bird.
Yeah,
Who is-
Beatrice.
I'm going out of order here. So Beatrice is
Yeah.
like the first thing they meet.
I think that's in the second episode when they meet
Yeah.
Beatrice. And she's kind of, I mean, you know, she's kind of selfish in a lot of
Yes.
ways because
Yeah, she is.
she's using them to fix her wrongdoing.
Mm-hmm.
So where Greg represents childishness and childhood, and what represents
Edgy
know,
teenagerness.
yeah, or just a
Coming of
growing
age.
up, coming of age, and Beatrice represents selfishness in a way.
Right.
Yeah.
She doesn't really care about them as people. She just wants to
No.
use them to fix her wrongs.
Mm-hmm. She doesn't care until later on, obviously, because she has a
Yeah,
redemptive
yeah,
arc
that
there.
changed later. But
Yeah, she comes through.
now the interesting thing is, and this is something I'm looking at right now, the different, because of course this is one of those series that every little detail is intentional,
Yeah.
and everything was plotted out and planned out and has a meaning. So even things like Over the Garden Wall has a specific meaning. Like, it comes from the name, like the phrase comes from a children's, like poem that chant that they would say during jump rope or whatever. Over the garden wall, I let the baby fall. My mother came out and gave me a clout over the garden wall. And this website here, it's a observation deck. There's a guy who writes on here about like all the meanings and symbolism, and it's really a pretty well put together article. But he says that the poem is is one of many extolling the death of siblings, and one of the main themes of Over the Garden Wall is how Wirt doesn't want to be responsible for the younger brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what I was gonna say is one of my favorite tropes in writing, and it applies to real life. How people, relationships, not necessarily romantic relationships, but relationships as a whole,
Mm.
they tend to make you overall a better person because
Yeah.
you no longer are responsible just for yourself. You're responsible for other people. So like Beatrice was to some extent responsible for their well-being, and that made her become a better person. That made her realize what she was doing. And same thing with the siblings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That made them. It
Yeah.
made Greg realize that. Wait, Greg. Oh my gosh, Greg's the older one, right? Elijah Wood's
Wirt
character.
is
I'm
the
just gonna say-
older one.
No, Greg's the
Elijah.
younger.
It makes Elijah Wood's character
Yeah.
realize that he is responsible for his brother, even if he is.
Even
Yeah.
if he doesn't want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, the interesting thing, like the names of these characters have significance too, because Wirt, that's the rest of the characters have names that we would think, oh, we wouldn't think twice about, like
Yeah, but
Gregory,
Wirt is a weird
Beatrice,
name.
and so on. But Wirt, yeah, that's a completely like, why would you ever name anyone that? But it comes from German, and it means host or landlord. So that's
Yeah,
possibly
It's
an
another,
indication that
he's
yeah,
responsible
that-
for someone or something.
right, and also that he's kind of like the host of the story because he's
Yeah.
he's kind of like we follow him mostly.
He's the main character, really. It's
Yeah.
his story.
What about the Beast?
The
The Beast.
so the Beast
The
is
Beast
the
is really-
main antagonist, I would say.
Yeah.
He's the thing that everyone, look out for the Beast. Everything in the unknown is all about the Beast.
The huntsman is battling the Beast every night.
Yep. Gregory gets taken over by the Beast almost. But I mean, it's just something that it's like a known fact in the unknown. And you don't know what it is up until like midway through. Like the first,
Towards the end, really.
yeah, the first like 5 or 6 episodes are all happy-go-lucky, and then the first when you meet the huntsman, and you meet a creepy wolf, and you're like, whoa, that must be the Beast, and he's like, that's not the Beast. He's like, the Beast cannot be tamed like some farmer's pet. And then so it's like, oh damn, and then that little turtle. What was the little turtles about? Because they were in
I was
the
about to
other.
ask that.
Yeah.
Because this dog ate a turtle, that was it was a black turtle, and it turned into this wolf creature with creepy eyes. And they show up later in the Tim Curry episode.
Wait, there's a Tim Curry episode?
Yeah, Tim Curry plays
Oh,
the
that's
really
right. That's right.
fat
That's right.
the
That's
really
right.
fat
Yeah,
lady.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
Adelaide is her
That's right.
sister. We're
Yeah.
jumping all over the
The-
place.
Yeah. No, and well, let's first just tackle the beast, then we can talk about turtles. So, what do you think the beast represents? Because the whole premise is that the huntsman, the woodsman, made a deal with the beast regarding his daughter, and so
Yeah.
now he kind of has to do his bidding. The huntsman has to do the beast's bidding in a way.
Yeah.
And-
He has to keep chopping down trees and keep the lantern lit because the beast has trapped the
It's his penance.
yeah. He has to because the beast has trapped the
Yeah.
woodsman's daughter in the lantern, and if it goes out, she dies.
Yeah.
Do we ever know what deal they struck?
I don't know what deal they struck. Maybe he was gonna take the daughter, but he said, you know.
I don't know exactly.
Uh,
I can't remember exactly what. I think it was more of a thing. It wasn't really a deal. It was just a situation where
Yeah.
the
He convinced the
basically it was
huntsman,
like
yeah.
it was like no, it was like blackmail. Basically, it was like, "Ha,
Okay.
I have your daughter, and if you don't want her to die, you have to do what I
Yeah.
want you."
Yeah. He's like, it's my mission.
But we
And
never
so
know
he's-
how he got the daughter.
No, I mean spoilers for the end. We could talk about later, but you know, maybe we won't spoil it now.
Yeah.
But I mean, like she's, dang it, I don't know. Should we spoil it? I mean, it's been out for like 5 years now, so.
Yeah, we
But like
can. I feel like.
she's not in the lamp actually. It's actually the beast soul is in the lamp.
Right. So where was the daughter?
I think she was somewhere else because she shows up at the end. There's an ending thing whenever the end song plays, and it shows everyone's lives getting back to normal.
Yeah, that was. So back to my original question. Does the beast represent fear or death even?
The devil? I don't know. Not really.
Just
I don't
maybe
think it's the
maybe
devil.
just personal demons, like
Yeah.
Personal- yeah.
personal issues that hold you back and kind of force you to act in ways that you don't want to act.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it like to put it from vices or to this show doesn't, it's not overtly a Christian show or doesn't,
Yeah.
but maybe like sin, how
Yeah.
Yeah.
the concept of sin ensnaring you and making you do things, just falling back to your evil nature, I guess. So maybe it does represent like some form of addiction or
Mm.
maybe some kind of vice that.
Yeah, I'll look it up and see what some of the popular theories are. But
So, a lot-
okay, I see. It kind of makes sense.
What?
Apparently the beast symbolizes surrender after losing hope. So like
Conformity.
yeah,
Giving
because
up.
like the huntsman was like, "Oh, he has my daughter. I'll just submit." You
Yeah.
know? And Greg was or Wirt was like, "Fine, I submit," and then he gets started taken over by the leaves.
Oh yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense
that makes
because
sense.
throughout the whole series, Wart was trying to kind of get his brother to cheer up and
Yeah,
be and his Greg kept being a jerk. So
yeah,
not really a jerk, maybe just typical stereotypical teenager. And Warfront's like, you know what, screw it, he's not gonna change.
yeah.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense.
Let's see. The dog.
And I think what's cool about like what sent them on this whole adventure was, the fact that Greg didn't want to go frog,
Yeah, I didn't want to go
hunting
frog
with-
hunting.
with Wart.
Yeah,
He wanted to go talk to that girl
yeah. He wanted.
who played the clarinet.
Oh my
No,
god.
no. No, he played the clarinet.
Yeah, he played the clarinet. Wirt played the clarinet, and she plays. I don't know. I don't know what she played. I don't remember.
I don't think she ever played anything. I don't even think she was in the band, but
She's just
he
some
made her like
girl.
a mixtape.
Yeah, he did.
And he blew off Wart. Because because he wanted to go play.
little brother.
And he wanted to go play frog. He wanted to go catch frogs, which is how they ended up on this whole conundrum to begin with.
Yeah, that's true. Ooh, gosh, I could read this. Let me read this real quick. It's a little bit of a read, but the beast symbolizes surrender after losing hope, which I'll call despair for simplicity. This is someone writing this. His one objective throughout is to cause people to lose hope in order to keep his flame lit. He subsists on lost hope. At the end of the old grist mill, the woodsman tells the brothers more about the beast. He says the beast cannot be mollified like some farmer's pet. He stalks like the night. He sings like the four winds. He is the death of hope. He steals the children and he'll rule, and then that's when he gets knocked out. The man's despondent description very accurately depicts despair in real life. People can't just magic away such a deep, painful emotion. Despite popular belief to the contrary, it sticks with a person, often crushing any other positive emotions that try to worm their way in, effectively snuffing out any other hopes that the person carries. Additionally, despair seems to lurk everywhere, just waiting for someone to come along for it to cling to. For some, this happens as a result of painful events in their life. For others, it comes alongside depression or PTSD. So, maybe this is someone just reading into it too much, or it could just be, or it could actually be.
I mean, I'm seeing a lot of theories that connect the beast to the turtles. And one of the most telling things is when the dog eats the turtle.
Yeah.
And goes crazy, his eyes look super, super similar to the beast's.
That's true.
So, and also combining this with the idea that the unknown, where they are, is kind of very symbolic of the afterlife in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I've seen theories that perhaps the turtles are souls of people who got lost there or something like that.
Why is the beast scared of the turtles?
I don't think he's scared.
But for some reason, like the turtles repeal the beast.
Do they?
Yeah. Well, when the dog ate the turtle, the beast am I recalling this correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. When the first episode when the beast ate the turtle, and then isn't that when the beast went away from the dog?
No, the beast was never in the dog. It was just the dog ate a turtle. But it wasn't like oh, okay. So apparently they could hold a key to the beast. When the beast is first introduced, people, I guess somebody describes as being a strange monster that runs around the woods each other. I don't know. They just appear, but I don't see them like being directly referenced to the beast, and I don't see them. Huh.
Yeah, because there's turtles all throughout. So I guess what do the turtles represent? Like, could you guys look that up, or do you guys know?
I mean,
maybe
it's very, very vague because they only
there's
show
not a lot
up and
about
they're not really.
They're just there.
Yeah, and they I mean some are saying like they're keying on an old Western idea or like the Greek idea of how the world is like a turtle, and how the shell represents like the top of the shell represents heaven and the bottom of the shell represents earth, which somewhat ties into the whole afterlife purgatory type idea. But as far as what that means, it's anybody's guess.
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, they show up a lot, but I mean,
the one telling thing about it is when the dog swallows the turtle in one of the earlier episodes and kind of has the glowy eyes like the beast, like almost exactly like that. That's, kind of an indication that something to do. The turtles turn people more like the beast, and maybe that's how the beast ended up that way or something.
yeah.
I don't know. There's connections, but there's not a lot of them.
Okay, I see a big connection here, though. I'm seeing a lot of people talk about the Edelwood there. The turtle is covered in the Edelwood oil, so like that's what it's consisting of, and the Edelwood is what the beast's soul is made out of, because that's what keeps the lantern lit.
Right.
Is this Edelwood oil. So if the turtle is covered in it, then they become like the beast. So it turns them into this monster. Their skin.
Yeah, but what does that mean as far as like symbolically? What does that represent? Because the beast is supposed to represent submitting to despair. But what do the turtles mean?
I can't tell you.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of finding out in my research with this, is that it's so vague, and there's some connections, but they're loose enough that we don't really know what the turtles actually represent. We can connect them to things, but they don't really give us any answers as to what does this mean.
Maybe it's a red herring.
It could be a red herring, or it could also be but considering for me, watching the show, how detailed and how specific and intentional everything is, I think it was intentionally left vague. Like, I'm not exactly sure why. Probably because there could be multiple interpretations of what they mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could be, yeah.
I don't understand like why it makes people different though. Like if it was tied to the beast, then they should just be, distraught and given up. I would say if they because it just makes them evil, doesn't it? Pretty much, like Auntie Whispers, she's not really evil, but I mean she's not good. So I mean, maybe that's
that was a good character.
Yeah, that's Tim Curry character.
Yeah.
Auntie Whispers, Lorna.
That's so that and the. But so what do you guys think about, like? I don't think that they ever name the land that they're in, like the world. What do you guys think that is?
It's just called the Unknown.
Yeah, it's just called the Unknown.
Do you think it's like purgatory or limbo, so to speak?
Yeah, I think it's some sort of.
The problem is though, it actually happened all in real life. Everything that happened there happened in real life. Like it actually happened. The connection to the real world is okay. In the Auntie Whispers episode, the frog eats the bell, and whenever they shake the frog, it lights up. And then when they go back to the real world, when they're in the hospital, Greg is shaking the frog, and the bell is there, and his stomach lights up. So everything actually happened. So it's not purgatory, or if they did, they somehow had a connection to the real world and brought something through. But from my understanding, everything actually happened, and that's it.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's also set in the same world as Clarence, apparently.
Is it really?
That city is the same city that Clarence lives in. It might have been like two studios using the same kind of like art, or if they're like artist friends that gave them the same thing, but
maybe.
Yeah.
This is definitely heavier than Clarence stuff, from my understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, because the only way that they both went to the unknown is through almost dying.
That's true. Yeah, they almost got run over by a train.
So that, and then they drowned.
Yeah, they drowned.
They almost drowned. So it kind of makes me think of limbo, which is like a state between life and death, or
yeah.
It's interesting.
Let's see. Let's look up some theories on.
You go.
Okay, here's a theory that the beast is actually the woodman's daughter, not that he trapped her soul or anything like that.
Oh, that's weird.
And a lot of the ways that, like, a lot of the evidence saying that is how the beast appears to be wearing what looks like a shawl of some kind, and the daughter is seen to be wearing a black shawl kind of like that. Also, the daughter or the beast knows things about the woodsman that, very specific things, like how he doesn't like going home because it's empty all the time and he hates being alone.
Yeah.
And reminded of that. That's a very specific thing that, most people probably wouldn't see. Also, after the beast is defeated, she comes out of the house.
That's
So
true.
I don't know. So one of the theories here is that she got lost in the woods and tried to use the black turtles as fuel in her lantern, and for whatever reason, it corrupted her into the beast.
Hmm. That's
Interesting.
interesting. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. But the beast has all of his victims' faces on him.
Yeah, that's true.
Hmm.
Yeah, that is true. I forgot about that.
I'm looking at some weird fan art here. It's creepy.
Yeah, some of the design here is really it's really unique.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like it, honestly.
It is very unique.
And
It,
he's only shown for like one frame. The whole thing he's only shown for
Yeah,
like
yeah,
and it
which
was
is you gotta when you pause it, you're like, what the hell was that?
scared the pants out of me. Yeah.
it's really good. This is one of the best I think examples of not showing the monster.
Yeah. Yeah, you hear
And
that,
being scared
Mama?
of it.
Awful horror movie.
Oh gosh, the movie was terrible.
You hear that, Insidious?
yeah.
I'm just kidding. Insidious is actually pretty good.
But I think that I guess like the moral of the story is there seems to be this theme of redemption
Yes, everyone has a
and
redemption. It seems
in the
like.
characters and even like in individual stories like the story comes to a full circle where when a character does something that redeems himself. So I like to think about like Beatrice finally owned up to her mistake, and so did the Woodsman, and so did Greg and Ward. They Greg finally owned up to the fact that he has to be a big brother,
Yeah,
and the
Yeah.
fact that he was putting a girl over his family.
yeah,
Um, and not saying that you know the girl was always gonna be there. I guess I get what I'm saying, but I
yeah,
guess he was also scared that she was interested on that other one, the other guy. He was pretty funny.
yeah. What
The
was it?
depiction
Well,
of
I
that
forget
character.
whatever his name was. I guess
But
who's gonna get their hand held?
she was more interested in Greg.
Yeah, or were
Uh,
you keep you keep saying
oh,
Greg?
I keep confusing them.
Yeah,
Yeah, sorry. She was more interested in Elijah Wood's character.
yeah. There you go. That's it.
yeah.
Maybe, and it also has a hint of like unrealistic fears because
Yeah,
everybody and their mother could see that she clearly liked him more than that other blonde dude, and
true.
everybody
Yeah.
could see it except him. And
Yeah,
I don't know if it was like his pride that he he had to give her. What was her name? Sarah or
I, we all watched this
Jenny?
like really recently, and I forget all their names.
Yeah, I forgot her name, but that he was like, I have to give it. He recorded a mixtape of him playing clarinet or something
Yeah.
like that, or poems, and he was like, oh, I really have to give her this. I really have to give her this. But she probably would have gone out with him regardless of the dumb
Yeah.
No,
mixtape.
no, she would have if
Yeah.
he'd asked her. She would have, and that's kind of the. I mean, that's a look into. Well, one first of all, look into like the adolescent, relationship things because when he's getting to that age where he wants that, but he doesn't know what to do to get it,
How to go
and
about
so
it? Yeah.
he's thinking. I mean, we've all been through those kind of situations where you think, oh man, if I do this crazy outlandish thing, then even though it's a relationship is not that. It's not grand, huge gestures. That I mean, I bet you know that.
Yeah,
But yeah,
So
facts.
I also think it's also representative of not just that, but also kind of how we go about life in a lot of ways. Like sometimes we go about and you notice a lot of the things he gets really nervous and he thinks that he can't compete with the other guy and he thinks that she doesn't like him and he thinks all of these things, but none of those things were anything that she had said to him or anything that anyone else had said to him. It was only himself that was saying that to him.
Yeah,
So
his insecurities.
yeah.
yeah,
So he let his insecurities take control and push him away from that and make him do things that don't really make sense. Like the whole mixtape thing, he thought it was a good idea and then he backed down on it and then, da 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 and it was a whole big shenanigan.
Well, his insecurities also kind of made him be a jerk to his brother.
Yeah,
That's true.
absolutely. And a jerk to Beatrice.
Yeah,
A jerk to
and
everyone.
Beatrice
A
is
jerk to everyone. Gosh, I just realized he's a really unlikable
he really
character.
kind of was. And Beatrice's insecurities was the same way, made her be a jerk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why
So
they
so
actually got along.
Greg was kind of their foil.
Yeah,
Really?
Well, yeah, because like all he wanted was he wanted to hang out with his brother and he wanted to go and catch frogs and he was very whimsical and
He was
you know
pure.
yeah he just wanted to play with frogs and he just wanted to play with his brother. That's what it
Yeah.
was. And to me, one of the funniest reveals in the show was you go, why does he have a stupid tea kettle on his head?
I'm an
And then it turns out he was going to be an elephant. Oh man, that was
He's cute.
hilarious.
He's
Like,
adorable. I love him.
yeah, that was such a
He's
that
too
was good
sweet.
writing.
He's too good.
But he's kind of the foil of Beatrice, his brother, and the Beast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting how he goes about just being a child and
Yeah, he was
having
literally
this.
about to give himself up for Wirt because he was like, "So if I go with you, you're gonna you'll leave Wirt alone?" He's like, "Yeah, yes, child, come with me."
Yeah, self-sacrifice.
Yeah.
And you'll see a whole world. Yeah.
A world of pure decapitation. I don't know.
Decapitation
That's-
would be great.
That's not what he does. Treevocation. Treelon Musk.
Treelon. Yeah, it's interesting, man. That the series was
Topical.
just is really well written
Mhm.
and exploring themes. I think it does a really good job at, good media is ageless in my opinion.
Oh my gosh, this is a perfect example. It's
Good
also
media is ageless.
because it's really set in like the 80s. It's too I think it's set in the 80s. So like it's already past that. It's already timeless. It's like all of Wes Anderson movies. They're timeless because there's no set time period. There's no outdated references. 'Cause
Well, it's
they're-
more like it's I don't know about Wes Anderson movies because I don't know if children would really be able to enjoy Wes Anderson movies.
no, no, that's
But
true.
but that's kind of what I'm getting at is like children and adults can
Yeah.
both enjoy Over the Garden Wall and can both appreciate the message that the creator's trying to send. So I'm saying like it's ageless. Like it's not. I think it may be targeted towards children primarily, but adults
I
and
say teenagers really. It's like an in between spot. 'Cause it's like
everybody can
weird
watch
and
it, yeah.
edgy, but it's got like a little bit of kid stuff and it's a little bit of adult stuff.
But that's it. I think that would be a perfect show to kind of introduce children to some of these complex issues.
That's true. And I mean,
Yeah.
it handles things in a good way. No shade to Steven Universe. I love Steven Universe, but they used to fight their problems, but now he cries his problems. And that's a change in the culture maybe, but still Over the Garden Wall was set in like this perfect time where you could still solve things with violence if you needed to, but also talking things out was also just as fine.
I don't think it was
Solving things
necessarily the
with your
violence.
mind.
I don't think necessarily violence is more the fact that
Like if you had to fight, you could, because like Steven does not fight in the Steven universe, and like I don't know, they sort of fought at the end of Adventure Time,
well,
but at the end of the
never
day,
seen,
they wanted the day. They what?
I mean, I've never seen Steven Universe, but I know what I'm getting at in Over the Garden Wall is that it's the way to solve your problems is to uh, I guess that's something that a part of Wirt's character, that Elijah Wood's character,
Yeah,
that I could relate with. It's that he was kind of like in Star Wars, like Luke. At first,
Oh,
he's
yeah.
super whiny and it's kind of a wimp. And
oh
it's like,
for
oh,
sure.
shut
And
up,
then
Luke.
by the
Like,
time Empire, you're
go
like, whoa,
go
who
fight
is
Darth
badass?
Vader already, you punk. So it's kind of like that. How Ward was very, I don't know. Yeah. He goes from that to once again the relationship with his brother made him more responsible and made him realize that
Yeah.
this is what's important in
Yeah.
life, and I have to fight for this, and I have to really self-sacrifice.
Well,
know?
they go through, like you were talking about Luke. They go through a lot of similar type You know, like you mentioned, they go through like Luke starts out all whiny, and then in the second episode he thinks that he's the best because he
Yeah.
learned a few things and now he can take it. And then at the end of it, you pretty much see him fall into despair after he, the big reveal, and he gets beat by Vader, and so he throws himself into the pit and is like, I just want to die, basically.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how Wirt was when he's like, forget it, and he starts getting taken over by the trees. And then at the end, he says, no, it's, he learns that it is worth, some things are worth standing up for, and, you know, it's
And
not,
to-
it's not all about me.
Yeah. And I
Mm.
think the writers made a very good choice by making the characters half siblings or step siblings,
Yeah.
because that's something that, you know, a lot of media doesn't really address. Didn't really, it's not really talked about.
Mm.
Well, and
And
also the added implication of that too is that, even more so than normal siblings, because, you know, uh, Greg's 5 and Wirt's 15. So Wirt lived 10 years at the very least, by himself, being, the number one guy in his household or whatever, being the only
Yeah.
child. And then when Greg comes in, now he has to be responsible, and he doesn't want to be responsible for him. He wants to keep doing what he was always doing. And so it has a little bit more tension in that, because that tends to be a more that's a more real thing when
Mm.
families combine like that, those kind of animosities, because now all those dynamics that they were used to get shaken up. And so it's like he has to be responsible for something he doesn't want to be. So, the kind of the lesson in that too also is that, you know, maybe you didn't want to hang out with Gregory. Maybe you didn't want to maybe you never wanted him at all. Maybe you were put in a situation where you didn't want to. But that doesn't mean that there's nothing good that can come from it. That doesn't mean that you should ignore it, That doesn't mean that it's okay to treat him like crap and forget about him and whatever. And he
Mm.
learns that by the end.
it's interesting. They're just really well written characters and really well rounded.
True. True.
My favorite episode, and I feel like a lot of those episodes were just made to be made because they're just funny and quirky.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The
Especially
frog, the
yeah.
bassoon episode is my favorite one.
Mm.
I don't know if it necessarily. I don't know. I don't know if anything important happens that I can remember. In that episode. Oh no, it's about Ward, doing something that he didn't think he could do,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
playing the bassoon. Cause
Yeah.
yeah. Cause wasn't Greg the one that pushed him to do it? Him
Yeah,
and
he did. He
Beatrice?
was like,
Yeah.
"Come on, you can do it." And then Beatrice, because they had that conversation earlier with the Uncle Endicott, where they were like, she was like, "You could play." He wanted to play the bassoon, but he's like, "I don't have the embouchure for bassoon or whatever."
Yeah.
She's like, "Come on, just do it. You play clarinet." And he's like, "They're not the same."
Yeah. Do you know what amateur is? Just I don't know if you guys know.
Embouchure is the shape of your lips, right?
Yeah, the how you position your mouth to.
Yeah.
To play a
position
wind
your mouth.
instrument. Oh wow! Well, you gotta make it sound so gross.
That I didn't mean to miss. Oh
Yeah,
God.
and that was it's just something so random. Like, oh, frogs love the bassoon. Like, what the crap? Who thinks of that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Singing frogs, riding
That was
a talking horse, Uncle Endicott.
that was my favorite.
The
episode.
gorilla that was just a red
Yeah.
herring because
Yeah,
like,
what's up with
"Thanks, I've
that?"
been stuck in that suit for
Yeah,
however.
he was part of a circus, and then he wanted to marry the teacher, but he got like stuck in the suit. So
Yeah.
he couldn't leave.
That whole episode, like, what's up with that,
That
whole
one-
episode?
That was
I
crazy.
think that was an outlier because I don't think anything really happened in that one.
Like the musical number was weird, and
The only
Yeah.
thing that I could see that episode being like justifiable is that it made Wirt, not exactly take everything that everyone says, to automatically want to do it, because he was being pushed around, but he was like, yeah, no, I don't want to do this, or something like that. Other than that, I don't see any reason for it to exist. Especially,
And-
oh my gosh, when the teacher is like, A is for the apple that
Oh
you
my-
gave to me.
Oh, that whole thing was
That
just
there
weird.
was a worm inside.
Well, and wasn't Beatrice and Ward making some kind of bet, or they were kind of
Yeah, she was like, "You only do what what everyone else says," and he's like, "Oh, that's not true." And then he's like, "I'm gonna go in this school." She's like, "No, no, no." He's like, "No, no, I'm gonna go inside because I do what I'm told."
Yeah.
That was the first episode I showed Andy when we started watching that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great episode to start him on.
That was the first episode I saw, and I was like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
It
The
was
only
great.
So Andy, you didn't watch the first 4 episodes, I think you said, but
No, I think it was the first two.
First
is
two.
are the only ones I.
so
'Cause
you
I
saw
think
the
I think
one-
that I think the school episode is the third one. If
Yeah.
I
remember
think so
correctly.
too.
the pumpkin one I think is my favorite.
Oh
where-
my gosh,
where they're
yeah,
at
the second
festival.
episode.
I don't know why. It's something about it is like interesting. It's like because you have this assumption that they're, oh my gosh, they're gonna get killed because they step on a pumpkin, they barge into a party, and then they they want to leave early and just skip through town, like they wanted to just pass through. But then as it goes on, a key thing is when he's like, "Aren't you a little early to join the festivities?" But the party's already going on. So it's like, "What do you mean?" And then they're like a few hours of manual labor because that's what they were told
Yeah,
to do.
their punishment.
Their penance was to do a few hours of hole digging, and they dig up a skeleton, and then the skeleton gets out and puts a pumpkin on his head. So it's like
Spooky,
They're like-
scary
yeah.
skeleton.
you're like, oh, they're all dead. So they're just trying to enjoy the afterlife, I guess.
Yeah, afterlife.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I guess that's what he meant by "Aren't you a little bit too early?" Wow.
Yeah,
You're
that's- he's
not
like- he's
dead.
like- yeah, he's like, you're not dead yet.
That's. Oh wow. I just caught that.
Aren't you a little early to join the festivities?
I think whatever my favorite episode was the one where they finally the beast was finally revealed. I loved everything to do with the beast. in
Yeah.
this. I thought it was the perfect setup
It's a
of a villain, and he was
very
he was
sinister.
terrifying, and he was mysterious, and he
Yeah.
was sinister, and it was the built perfectly because it started out as him
Yeah.
kind of just being a random legend of that you'd hear oh, he's just a weird creature that goes around and eats kids, and then as it goes it evolves and it changes,
Yeah.
and he shows up and you see how sinister and how much he's manipulating the woodsman, who the woodsman is in the best position out of anybody to fight the beast because he knows the most about him. It's just and then the final reveal of what it is, and you see it in the light because it's in the shadows the whole time, and you're just holy
yeah,
crap.
You see him for like a split second.
It was excellent.
Yeah. And it
I
turns
love
out that
everything.
it was just his personal demons.
Yeah.
And I like what you said, Andy, that he was in the best position to defeat the beast, and I think that applies to everybody. Where we are the ones that are in the best position to defeat our personal beast, I guess is what the creator is also trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the creator is Adam Muto, I believe, and he worked on Adventure Time. A lot of people from Adventure Time went off to make other things. So let's see, maybe I don't know what that has to do with anything. Maybe oh, this came out 2014. Holy crap, dang. Or no, Patrick McHale. Adam Muto did something else. Patrick McHale, but he also worked on Adventure Time.
I just really love the art style here because it
Absolutely.
does everything well. It's charming. It's reminiscent of old 30s cartoons. This whole series is pretty much a throwback to those because if you've ever watched those Felix the
Yeah.
Cat type cartoons,
Puts them on
yeah.
their
old
head.
Disney ones. Yeah, they all go through adventures like this where they'll show up in a town and it's just random, just for random sake, and there's a lot of weird songs and
Animals and
yeah.
Mm.
But it's also real. The art style is also really terrifying and creepy when it needs to
when
be.
it needs to be, yeah.
I think probably what another episode I really liked was when they showed up at the house with Lorna,
Yeah.
and Madam Whisper. You think, and it's the whole classic trope of, oh, help me, I'm trapped, and she's making me do all these crazy things. But it turns out that the big twist, spoilers, and you think, oh, this crazy old hag, she's she's a witch and she's scary
Yeah.
and she's sinister and but it turns out she was doing that because Lorna was a monster.
That's true. Yeah.
What a twist.
Yeah. Everything in the unknown is a big old twist on everything. I think. It's a twist on the liveliest ones at the party are the dead people. Uh, you know, I don't know about the talking horse, but like there's a whole town that's like, oh, you're getting married. It's like, no, I'm not getting married. So it's like everyone just assumes he's gonna get married. It's weird. Everything in there is like, a
Oh
big
yeah,
twist.
when the townspeople are like, go talk to her.
Yeah,
When's
like
the wedding?
get your
Yeah.
girl. They're like, then the beast is out there.
Oh man, I love that episode. Yeah.
But
I guess what it's saying is that the unknown is never what we expected it to be. Like we can have a frame of reference for anything, but it's almost never going to be what we think it is.
absolutely not.
And maybe oh wow, I'm just kind of thinking about it. Maybe that's what he's trying to say about death. Because
Yeah.
if the unknown is purgatory or if the unknown is death, maybe what he's saying is I don't think death is what we think it is.
Uh,
I think that's right. Yeah, I think
I'll
that's
take my
true.
PhD now.
let's talk about the lore of death on the next episode.
Ooh, I'm down.
Oh
Yeah,
gosh.
it's easy. I'll just murder you or something.
Oh,
Whatever.
then
Yeah,
I'll
no,
come. Yeah, I'll somehow tell you.
Come
I'll
back
break
from the
I'll
grave.
break the veil.
Ooh,
We
that's
could be like
gonna be the next horror
Flatliners,
movie.
whatever that show is, or that movie.
Yeah. Flatliners, where they
They
go
kill
into, like, the
themselves and they
other
bring them
dimension.
back.
Yeah, in a weird Inception type way. But that's the next horror movie. It's like a Discord chat, and I mean this has already been done. Like the whole like, oh, it's a friend chat. Wait, who's this? But they're
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah. What's that? What was that movie? That really weird movie.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was. Like
It
I
was.
can't remember either.
Oh, Unfriended. Unfriended.
I mean, maybe that, maybe it wasn't. I
No,
don't
I'm
remember.
pretty
But
sure
it
it
was
was
like
that it-
they're in like a Skype chat or
they're
whatever.
in a
I
Skype
just remember
chat.
seeing the trailer, and it's like, who's doing this? Who is John? No, it can't be that. Yeah, that's
They're
the next.
Dead. Yeah. Unfriended. That's it. It's the first one was not bad. The second one was pretty bad because it wasn't on. It was like everything takes place on the computer screen. Then the second one, it's like dark web. Ugh.
Oh no, the spooky dark web.
Yeah, the place where I like to watch my YouTube.
What?
Yeah, you can watch anything on the surface that you can find on the deep web. So I mean, dark web, deep web.
Yes, that's true.
I just like the internet knowing that I like to watch PewDiePie.
Oh wow. Oh, I'm a
Subscribe to
T-series
PewDiePie.
kind of guy.
Oh, really? Oh my gosh.
No,
Yeah.
heck no. Are you kidding me?
Come on.
YouTube culture is toxic, man.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Mr. Beast just planted 20 million trees, baby.
That's pretty good. That's pretty great.
And he invited a lot of my favorite YouTubers. Mark Rober, my boy.
I don't really have favorite YouTubers, but anyway.
I didn't really like.
Yeah, here we go again. Yeah.
We didn't really discuss we talked about the deep lore, as it were. We didn't talk about every single episode and like what each episode meant. Maybe we could go into more episodes because Noah didn't get to be in this one, but he wants to talk about
You really wanted to,
it.
yeah.
So like if we do
Maybe.
another one, we could like pick a specific episode and really delve deep into it. Maybe that's what we, maybe that's what we
that'd be
do
cool.
for like the next. Maybe that's what we do for like the rest of November. We like
Oh my god.
we pick like
Deep dive
two
on all of 'em.
episodes and we deep dive into
Okay.
2 episodes.
I could explain to you the history of the bassoon, the lore of the bassoon, if you
The
will.
lore of the
lore of the
bassoon. Give us a quick synopsis of it, real quick. In
It's a double-reeded instrument that sounds
Ooh.
like if a duck was 6 feet tall and had a really
Wow.
deep voice. That's really what it is. It sounds like a duck. Yeah,
is
and
it an allegory or a metaphor for your father?
No, it just my my dad is an actual duck. Spoiler alert! And my father is a literal duck. I am a half duck.
My father was a duck, and my mother was a Spanish Catholic nun.
That's gonna be the beginning of my memoir. My
Oh
father
my
was
gosh.
a duck.
Oh my gosh. What would that be called? What would that be called?
My bassoon, my father.
My bassoon, comma my father.
That's right.
And oh my gosh.
Hello, Audible.
Pick it up.
Audible.com.
Put me on.
This episode of Lorecast is sponsored by Audible.
You mongrels.
I wish. It's sponsored by technically Anchor.fm. Technically. That's just because they give us money.
Oh, we
Okay.
made what, 4 cents or what?
Technically, yeah. Because there's a 25-cent withdrawal fee, and we got 29 cents. So, but when you
There
guys
you
listen
go.
to this on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Overcast, or anything else like that, Google Podcast, we get that shmoney. Most people
Right.
listen to it on Spotify, and then like we have like a couple of views from Apple. So thank you guys. Leave us a review on maybe I'll put it on iTunes too. I'll try and get it on iTunes.
That'd
I
be
think
cool.
I think it's a little sad that they will never be able to. Hopefully, they will never be able to listen to the pre-record, like the crap that we say before you go on.
I might
'Cause
start
that-
recording them. I might start recording it, but then like editing
No,
out
man.
so much and like
But it's-
Patreon subscribers.
Oh gosh.
Oh my gosh.
If
No,
we,
no,
okay,
no.
If
if
we
we
ever try to get jobs or run for public office or anything like that, then that is gonna screw us over forever.
Although I very much want to be a voice actor, so I mean I think that would help me a
Okay.
lot. It would help me more than you guys
Maybe.
be selfish like Ward.
until I have to like,
This is
settle
this is
down
my
for a real job.
this is my test tape. Lol, me getting roasted by all my friends.
This is my demo reel. Yeah, and then that's when I put the bassoon in her elbow.
What?
Oh!
Yeah. That's how you play a bassoon.
No, it's not.
Well, I wouldn't know. I play the guitar, just like every
I-
other
Using them fingers.
male. Gross.
Yeah, I
What-
couldn't play the bassoon if I wanted to.
One last thing before we go: who doesn't play the guitar? Everyone and their mom plays guitar.
Andy.
I don't play the guitar.
What instrument do you
I
play?
used to
Andy?
play piano. A little
Okay,
bit.
that's basically a guitar. So I mean,
Well,
What?
yeah.
No.
Well,
it's a string
well-
instrument.
Oh well, it has a
Just get it.
string, so technically a
It has a
yo-yo's a
string.
guitar.
No, because a yo-yo doesn't produce definite pitches.
Shut up, music nerd.
My name is Benny Valderrama, and I got my degree in music composition.
It's not music composition, but
Oh, what was
Anyway.
it? What was it?
at least I'm smart enough to know that a bassoon sounds like a duck, dude.
Hey, all I'm gonna say is that Danny from Ninja Sex Party gave up, or he never gave up on his dreams. He lived in squalor so he could have his dreams. And Brian Wecht of Ninja Sex Party stopped being a teacher at Oxford, a theoretical physicist, to make comedy music. If they can
The
follow
joke-
their
The
dreams,
joke about dicks.
yes. If they can follow their dreams, you can follow your dreams too. That's my one thing to
So
say to
I
you
can
all.
still I can still learn how to play the bassoon,
Yes. Why not? You're like 20.
but I'm only going to
something.
practice when Andy's trying to sleep.
Yeah, I know.
Sleep to the dulcet tones of a duck.
That's right, a giant duck.
Giant 6 foot. All right, I think we're going crazy here.
All right, Nick.
Um,
I
can
wish
I
you were a
plug
bassoon so I
something?
could play with you.
Oh, stop! Gross. They're still streaming.
That's not gross. How is that gross? I want to have a play date with you.
Oh, a play
Ah!
date. All right, listen here now.
More
All
like
right.
a gay
Oh my
date.
gosh. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. We're not doing a lot of visual stuff anymore, thank God. So
Well, yeah, it is No Nut November, so we can't do
That's
Stop.
right, my dudes. Well, now you just dated this episode. It's no longer timeless.
Okay.
You only watch it in
Well-
November now.
Who cares?
I do. JonTron
Okay, well,
videos.
then
You could.
well, then edit that. You don't care that much.
Oh, okay. I'll edit it. Maybe. I don't know. I don't care.
Okay.
Maybe.
Nah, just replace that with like the text to speech voice saying the
Any
British
time
guy
of the
saying,
year.
insert like current
Current
or
month.
whatever.
No, I've actually okay. I'll maybe if anyone makes it this far in the episode, which some people do, I will ask, should I ask someone to record or to edit these episodes. I can use Fiverr. There's a guy I talked to on Fiverr who will do it for like $10. So
Didn't Noah say he'd do it?
For free?
He did, but I gave him some voice stuff, and he did not get them back to me fast because he's very busy. So I mean, he could edit
Oh.
them, but it'd be very busy, and we wouldn't get them, next day like we
see.
have. So if I send it to a guy on Fiverr, we could get it within like 1 or 2 days.
I got you.
Well, we'll see.
All right. Well, so we'll try and get Noah on the next episode, and if he can come on, then we should delve into a specific 2 episodes, like the first 2, and like really delve into them and like see the metaphor for this, for that, for everything else. So be sure to tune in next time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Listen to us on Spotify. Listen to us on Spotify or Anchor.fm. Bye.